Member for Swansea.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I rise to lend my support to the community of Catherine Hill Bay and the surrounding suburbs in the fight to save what is currently one of the most pristine beaches in New South Wales. A private water utility provider, Solo Water, has been granted a licence to operate and deliver water and sewage services in Catherine Hill Bay, servicing a new estate. Solo Water has now applied for a licence variation, which seeks to vary the licence conditions relating to the disposal of surplus recycled wastewater generated from the new housing development. Under the current licence, excess recycled water must be disposed of via on-site irrigation. However, the developer wishes to develop the land currently being used as the irrigation and instead discharge excess treated recycled water to downstream environment. The proposal suggests that the recycled water could be discharged to the lagoon, which then feeds onto the beach of Catherine Hill Bay. Mr Speaker, it is fair to say that the community is absolutely outraged by this, and can I say, so am I. On Sunday, the communities from Murray's Beach, Nords Wharf and Catherine Hill Bay rallied together to demonstrate that they will not stand for this kind of environmental vandalism by a private company, or anyone for that matter. The village of Catherine Hill Bay is a state heritage listed township which backs on to Munmorah State Reserve. While it has a growing population, this small community remains incredibly passionate about protecting their local environment, especially the beach. The residents feel as though they have been led up the garden path by the developer of this estate and that his licence variation is in breach of trust by Solo Water. The original application was granted on the basis that any surplus would be treated within the original footprint of the proposed development. The Catherine Hill Bay Progress Association have quite rightly pointed out that the developer would have always known how many properties were to be built and should have set aside land accordingly. The New South Wales Environment Protection Authority has suggested the variation to permit discharge into waterways poses unacceptable risks, and it has recommended that the application not be approved. The EPA also outlined 5 steps which Solo Water, as a bare minimum, should have taken to ensure risks were appropriately managed. Mr Speaker, Solo Water has failed to take each one of these 5 steps. Solo Water's proposal to vary the licence is also inconsistent with the Coastal Management Act of 2016 because it may increase the risk of coastal hazards by destabilising a coastal lake into watercourse entrance. A coastal hydrology impact assessment suggests that the larger additional discharge may cause a closed entrance to artificially break out due to the creek level rising above the crest of the entrance berm. Lake Macquarie City Council has also identified that the proposal is inconsistent with the Munmorah State Conservation Area Plan of Management, despite assertions by Solo Water that the discharge is unlikely to detract from the Plan of Management. The proposed variation would have significant adverse impacts upon ecological, scientific, cultural and aesthetic values within the Munmorah State Conservation Area. Mr Speaker, Solo Water has claimed that a land capability assessment is unnecessary for this application and maintains that the proposal will not result in significant impacts. I ask, how can this be the case when no assessment has actually been undertaken and there is no environmental impact statement? The licence variation is something that I have raised with both Minister Upton in her capacity as Minister for the Environment and Minister Harwin in his capacity as Minister for Utilities. The community is vehemently opposed to any proposal which would see the pristine environment around Catherine Hill Bay degraded, and I am strongly supportive of their efforts to have this proposal rejected. The waterways which Solo Water have proposed to discharge recycled water currently provide a safe haven for children and families to swim when the surf is too rough, and they are vitally important to the biodiversity and water health in the Lake Macquarie area. This proposal is nothing more than environmental vandalism for the sake of bigger profits for the developer. I again call on the Minister for Utilities to reject this proposal and require Solo Water to dispose of surplus water in a way that is environmentally sustainable and protects our local communities. I would also like to particularly thank those members of the Catho Board Riding Club for organising Sunday's event, where they came out in force in support of their amazing community, which they love, support, and will not cop any sort of environmental vandalism.
Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
I think